Hi, and welcome to the episode 4 of Coffee with Enyx. During this episode, we will deep dive into our market data feed handler solution, nxFeed. But first, a little more about us. At Enyx, FPGA is in our DNA. We've been building FPGA-based solution for the trading industry over the last 10 years. The first product that we brought to market, Enyx Link, powers today up to 80% of the millimeter and microwave networks, and solution providers use it to fairly and efficiently share the bandwidth of those links. The second solution that we brought to market, nxFeed, is the goal of this video, and we'll talk more about it today. The episode 2 of the Coffee with Enyx series talks about our tick-to-trade solution, Enyx Access. And the first episode of this series talks about our FPGA development framework, Enyx framework, and I will invite you to watch those two videos after this one. Finally, we are trusted globally, and we have over 100 clients that are using our FPGA-based solution day in and day out. But without further ado, nxFeed. So what is nxFeed? nxFeed is an FPGA-based NIC that you can insert in pretty much any server to take care of the whole market data processing. The whole idea is to make sure that you can use an FPGA to crunch the market data and not having a CPU do that, but also make sure that your development teams don't have to deal with market data protocols and the numerous changes of those, and can really focus on what matters for your business. So if we look at the high-level view of nxFeed, we can see that the FPGA will first be used to decode and normalize the data. That means that when you use nxFeed for one protocol, it's very easy to use it for another protocol because it's going to be the same API and the same protocol. Then the FPGA is going to be in charge of doing the A/B arbitration. That is very important for latency, of course, to make sure that the FPGA always uses the fastest data that reaches it, but it's also very useful for redundancy if one of those links was ever to go down. The whole book building and the management of all the orders and all the levels of every book for every symbols is done by the FPGA, which keeps everything within its memories. That's really what ensures the performance of these products. Finally, once the data is fully normalized and processed, it's time to distribute it. And for this, nxFeed can be one of three things. Distribute the data to the PCIe, distribute data over the network, and distribute the data to the PCIe and the network at the same time. When you choose to deploy it over PCIe with the card in the server where your application runs, our API is going to allow you to configure and communicate with the feed handler, receive the data. It's also going to be in charge of resynchronizing with the exchange if you connect midday or if there is any network outage. And then finally, the API is going to help you with the management of the symbology and all the properties of every symbols. If you use the application and you deploy your application on another server which receives the data over UDP, it's going to be exactly the same API. In terms of configuration, it's going to be about configuring what symbol you want that application to receive. In terms of resynchronization or recovery, it's going to be able to make sure that you can have that application resynchronized with the FPGA if you were to start midday or again have a network outage. Finally, the whole dictionary and management of symbology is the same API once again. So why is nxFeed different? nxFeed is a solution which is developed by developers for software developers. The whole idea is to use FPGA to perform the heavy lifting of the market data processing. It is really developed to easily integrate within existing applications. It uses very simple API, which is C++, and as I mentioned before, it is going to be the same API whether you deploy it locally on the server hosting the card or remotely with the data flowing through UDP. In order to help with the onboarding and the development and testing of that integration, the software API includes simulation models of our hardware implementation. That means that using PCAP or any network cards, you can already test and develop against the API without having to have an FPGA on hand. Finally, because we want to make sure that you have everything to develop an application that's going to work and be successful, we try to put as much content in your hand for your success. So every release comes with comprehensive demonstration and documentation, and we have a really reactive support when you have questions that you can't figure out. So let's look at several use cases to define a little more what nxFeed is all about. So in this industry, we often talk about decouplets. Well, nxFeed is not one. nxFeed is a feed handler. And if you want to build a decouplet, nxFeed can help you do that. It's going to be in charge of really reliably and with an extremely low latency, crunch the data for each feed. But when you talk about enriching the data and aggregating the prices over several exchanges, that is going to be your code that can do that. So in decouplets, you typically have several layers. One is going to normalize and deal with every protocol, and then after this, the aggregation and enrichment layer. nxFeed is really in charge of the first one. Another use case for which we have some customers that do that is market data vendors. So typically, they have to receive the data, process it before doing some enrichment and some filtering and distributing it to their clients. We have some customers today that use nxFeed as their front end. It's going to be in charge of taking the brunt of the market data burst and process all the data and hand it over to their application where they can perform their secret sauce before selling the data to others. One key success that we've had recently, and we're very pleased to talk about this, is the fact that Bank of China International is now using nxFeed to process the Hong Kong exchange. We've been working with them in order to make sure that they can have a seamless transition to a software-based in-house solution to an FPGA-based solution using nxFeed. So thank you again, Bank of China, for your business. Finally, the key thing about nxFeed is that because we never stop about latency and our customers always strive to lower and lower the latency, nxFeed is fully compatible with NX Access and is really often for our customers just the first step into reducing their latency profile. So if you are to develop against nxFeed today, know that the market data processing part of NX Access is using exactly the same technology and the same API. So you'll be able to move your code across without any change of your code and rely on NX Access to do more than just the market data processing, which is dealing with the execution protocol and also being able to onboard your algo directly within the FPGA. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to have a call and take you over our whole offering and answer any question you may have. Take care.